Okay, and welcome back to the table. No, it didn't snow. Haha, bad joke. But the reason I have the towel here is I had one plan of what I was going to do next, but I changed plan, and this is why it's nice to have, at least a few kits on your shelf that you are interested in building because whatever situations change that you may not be able to do what you want to do. Now, what I had originally planned to do next was a military vehicle, but I am kind of out of business in my garage right now because, let's see, yesterday with the wind chill, I believe it was 5 degrees outside. And today it's a balmy 20 degrees outside, so it's just not practical for me to try to heat my garage to safely spray paint and get a good coverage. So instead, it's Gundam time. Yes, indeed, it is Gundam time. Now, I have done a Gundam build on the channel before, but this kit, my oldest son actually gave me for Christmas last year, but I'm just getting around to it now. I had, other projects I was doing, and I always like to save, these Gundam kits for, that's my dryer buzzing. Time to do the laundry. I like to save these Gundam kits for times when, it's just too cold to do anything in the garage and, do one of these guys. And it is always a nice break to do one of these from the regular, cars, trucks, whatever, because as you will see in a moment when I lift the box cover, ta-da, we have a big honking pile of plastic. And it is completely molded in color, which is wonderful. And, of course, you'll see people, they'll do all sorts of incredible, intricate paint jobs with these Gundam kits because they are highly posable, because they have a lot of internal mechanisms that allow them to move. I prefer not to paint them because paint always adds a layer of thickness, and these kits are really precisely engineered and molded, so any type of extra layer of material is going to cause problems with the joints. So that said, I'm going to move aside this big old pile of plastic, and we'll take a look at a couple of things. First off, we have some decal sheets, and we even get some translucent parts, which I don't want to take in the bag because I don't want to lose any of them. That will go in some of the joints for the kit. We have self-adhesive decals. Now, self-adhesive decals, while they are not exactly the top of the food chain in, the realm of decals, these ones from Bandai are not bad, let's say that. The biggest trick with these is to make sure you don't have any oil from your fingers on the plastic before you put them down, because the oil from your skin, I have found, creates a gray film under the decal, for one, and two, they really won't stick that well. So, yes, they're a little bit easier because you don't need to dip them in water, but at the same time, you do have to take a little extra precaution should you use them to make sure that you don't get, issues with adhesion or, skin oil. So, and also because they are self-adhesive, you have to remember that once you put these down, that's where they are. The only way to reposition them would be to peel them back off, and that's really not advisable. So, and then we get a couple of these foil decals. These, in contrast, are excellent. You can see they're highly reflective foil. Those will be the eyes of the Gundam, a couple of different pieces. These you can actually shape and contour either with your fingernails, side of a blade, and they will really settle down nice. And once they're on, they do not come off. So these are good. And we'll go through the plastic. I'm not going to take forever to go through the plastic. As you know, I like to just do a quick review of the part sprue, just more so that you'll know what you'll get when you build the kit. And here they do this. I always think this is neat, blending the different colors on one sprue. I don't know why, but I like that. But as usual, you can see, and this is always the case with these Bandai kits, that the moldings are super precise, very intricate, and you will be hard pressed to find even a remote speck of flash in one of these kits. Now, most of these pieces, are, it's not like a car where you can say, oh, oil pan, this or that. A lot of these pieces are mechanical elements for the structure of the Gundam. And, here we see some pieces of hands. That looks like the hip joint and more of the hip. But, these things will become evident as you go through the construction. And, you see you get all these different shades of gray. And then we have the green for his body is molded. They did a really nice job with this mold, this color on this plastic. And maybe it's not coming out the best against, I just thought of it, against the green background. So get some white paper here. Props. There we go. So you can see this a little bit better. And that's really nice. Now, another thing you will notice with this, there are a lot of little panel lines and details on some of these parts, which is where the good old Gundam marker does a fantastic job. Also, the good old Tamiya panel line accent can chase through there and really bring up the detail on some of these pieces. And here you can see panel lines going through there, these little slots. A lot of these things can be highlighted and bring out the detail. So, very nice stuff. And now we have pieces of his big shield assembly. All of this is posable, which I will show in a moment when we look at the instructions. This I always like. They give you the clear for the beam saber. For those of you who have safety concerns, this is very flexible. No, you don't want to see how flexible by poking someone in the eye, of course. But yes, you will not accidentally stab yourself. Here's some nice slide molding for the gun, his main armament. That's really cool. I like that. So, if you're not familiar with these, it may be a convenient thing to say, oh, you're just building an action figure, or you're building a toy. But, as I've said in the Arbalest, the Bandai Arbalest build that I did, when you watch, a lot of build videos from different people, sooner or later, almost as a rule, you will see a Gundam model pop up in the background, because they are really fascinating to build. And, the kit quality is, like I said, it's just top notch. So let's take a look at some instructions. Now, these are nice if you're actually a fan of the anime series, or if not, and you're not familiar with, the characters and the history of the Gundam. They give you a little bit of that. Not all the Bandai kits have the English translation. This one does. So that's nice. They give you some build advisories, sprue map, and then we go into the assembly. Because building these, it is a little bit different, obviously, than a car or truck or something. Good thing to pay attention to the instructions. But because the construction is all modular, and they outline it like here, arm units, and you build the arms. I like to jump around when I do these, and I'll do an arm, I'll do a leg, I'll do the hips, I'll do a backpack, I'll do an armament, I'll do the torso, and collect my body parts, and then bring them all together for the final assembly. And again, if you saw the earlier episode, I forget which number it is, for the Bandai Arbalest build, I go into a lot of detail about, different levels of Gundam models and how they build. In the instructions here, they show you, the different features of the kit, the posability. And then we go through, and you can see it's all pretty much straightforward. And at the end here, they always, when you have kits that have, they refer to them as gimmicks, but, mechanisms that you can rearrange and reconfigure to pose the Gundam in certain angles. They will give you the steps on how to do that. So it's not like you'll, have to sit there and try to figure it out after you build your little beastie. So there we go. Decal guide. You're like any other model, you are not obligated to do the decals, do some, none, or all of them, whatever suits your fancy. And then we get the final appearance, and they do give you a painting guide. So, if you're really dedicated to painting and you choose to ignore these wonderful color moldings they give you and paint it up on your own, well, then knock yourself out. And here are the color guides. They do give them in English as well. However, they still time to do the laundry. However, they do not give you a breakdown of paint codes like sometimes with the military kits for Tamiya paints or blah 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 big ammo paints. They'll list color codes, so you just can order and have the exact paint. But there we go. And here you can see this is work with panel liner to bring out all that detailing. So with these kits, they can be complex, and some of them I certainly would not recommend as a first kit. If you've never built anything, like this level would probably be challenging. Only because it's a lot of parts that don't have clear associations to where they may go just by looking at them. But if you do, a lower grade kit, they are very clear in how they go together. So are these, but if you have one under your belt of a lower grade, this will be a whole lot easier to do. So they are also infectious. You start building these things, you just, it's hard to stop. So, but I will be stopping now, and I'm going to take a quick moment. And I'll just talk about a few different grades of Gundams, cover that real quick, and then jump back into building. And also, I hope the video is looking good. I have to thank my sons for Christmas. They gave me a GoPro camera, which is what is recording right now. And, full 1080, 60 frames. It goes all the way up to 4K, but I'm sticking with the 1080 right now because 4K I know really hasn't saturated the market, and huge files to work with. 1080 is plenty. So, and I will stick with that until I end up with a computer capable of processing 4K, and well, then we'll have 4K. But in the meantime, welcome to the era of GoPro. My camera did well, but this does, and I don't mean to be pointing my thumb at you, but I'm pointing up at the camera. This is really neat. So, and it even has voice commands. So right now, I'm going to end this segment by saying, GoPro, stop recording. Okay, and here we go to do a little size comparison and talk about the different levels of Gundams that you can build. So Obviously, the Gundam Dynames, which is the one, or however you pronounce it. If I'm pronouncing it wrong, oh well. But this is the guy we're building for this video. Now, this is the one I had built earlier, the Gundam Arbalest, our little friend down here. This is one grade up, is a Exia Gundam. Now, some of this kit is, I'm sorry. The Exia and the Dynames are slightly related, and this I know from already looking through the instructions. Some of the underpinnings are similar, so the Dynames will be of similar size as this guy, and then we have the perfect grade Gundam, which is just ridiculous, but oh so awesome because of it. Now, with the different grades of Gundams, obviously they are different building experiences. The high grade level down here, these are the let's call them the simpler kits. As you saw in that build video, there's still an incredible amount of detail on there, all sorts of functionality, range of motion, really great builds. You move up to the master grades. This is actually like a lower level master grade, but still even more detail, more functions, more posability. Also with these, you get what's called most often you get what's called an inner frame, where you build a skeletal structure of the Gundam that handles all of its mechanical aspects, and then the outer shell is assembled on top of that. So, really neat feature, and really allows them to kind of go to another level with detail. And obviously the perfect grade, this is actually, building one of these is like building a machine. I mean, they are just incredible, and I could probably talk for an hour just about all the features in this monster. But man, oh man, they have a price that goes with it. They are expensive, but really remarkable building experience. And they're showpieces, incredible. So the master grades fall in sort of a sweet spot. This was a gift, so I did not go and look at the cost, but I know from experience, master grade kits anywhere between $70 to $100 currently. So they are on the pricier side, but let me tell you, you definitely get your money's worth out of them. It's a good 60 to 70% jump in price up to the perfect grade. But again, just a build experience not to be duplicated elsewhere. Just incredible. And the high grades, these kits, sometimes you can get them for as little as $15 or $20. Some of them range up to about $40 or $50, close to the price range for where the lower master grades will start. So shop, see what you like. I am a fan of the Gundam aesthetic, and I saw some old Gundam programs when I was growing up. The animation is incredible. Most of the storylines that I have seen, and I've read the original book series that spawned all of this creativity. Really fascinating stuff. And in Japan, this is like Marvel universe stuff for them. It's huge. It's huge primetime entertainment. And it's just one series after another after another. And unfortunately, I simply do not have all the hours I would love to spend and sit and just, feast on that animation and those storylines. But in any event, in the meantime, we get to build some of them. So there you go. That's Gundam building. Real quick summary. So I will now put these guys away and start building. Okay. So after a little speed building, we get to see a finished arm. Now, of course, there's no detailing on this yet, but you can see how it articulates, and that is pretty good. Now you'll notice this has the closed fist on it right now, but there is a choice of hands. You can do like the drama hand, which is open like this. There is a weapon hand for his armaments, which has the index finger slightly bulged for obvious reason. And then we just have the closed fist for up close and not very friendly. So in the meantime, though, you can see how all this assembly goes together, and we have a number of points of articulation for later, not only posing it, but also for its functionality. And you can see how these joints work. Very nice. Now you'll notice with this, there are no polycaps, which are those sort of rubbery pieces that a lot of the Gundams use, particularly in the high grade series, because they're smaller, there's not as much mass. Here, it's all structural or engineering plastics that will handle the joints and hold the articulation. Now this is loose because once it's sandwiched into the shoulder peg coming out of the torso, that will hold this in place. So there you go. There's an arm. All right. Back to work. Okay, so put together a leg. Now you can see from the quick build, the time lapse, quite a bit of a more involved assembly, but interesting the way it all works. We do have a piece that slides in and out here. Obviously something will be attaching there. I will have to paint this. These are some of the armaments hidden underneath his knee cowl, which in the instructions are sort of an orange color. So I have my groovy gloss tangerine. So I will actually do a little painting with this. But, you know, this is the nice thing with these kits. Just a little bit. And I stopped here. I didn't continue with the assembly because like this, you can see how the limb looks and works without being covered up by the armor at the end. So you have double articulation around the central knee joint. We have the little armament here in the knee, which will be positionable. We have this piece which slides in and out, which I imagine will be holding some piece of armor in there. We also have this piece down here, which will probably hold another piece of armor. The foot will eventually go in here, and in the hip joint will go up top. So that also gives you an idea of size. Now, I pointed out before in one of the JPEGs the importance of paying attention to orientation of your parts, and they do give you in the instructions, just to show it out a little clearer than might be available in the JPEG. You see these little quote marks they put on things. This is to show you the orientation so that you put the piece in the right way, because some of these mechanisms are, the tolerances are tight. If you don't put a piece in the right way, it's either going to give you an immediate problem with assembly or give you an issue down the line with other things, and then you would have to start taking things apart. And even though this is, press fit, once you press pieces together, they're pretty well together. They're not going to be too eager to come apart. So just pay attention to the orientations whenever they have these callouts, the little quotation callouts, and it'll walk you right through. Okay, so I'm going to do that little bit of painting and then do the rest of the armoring on the leg and get one leg unit done. Haha. Okay, back to work. Okay, so as you can see, been doing some assembly. We got quite a bit of body parts here that are piling up. Not going to talk about that right now. What I am going to talk about is a neat little thing you can do with some of these Gundam kits, and that is to light them up. Now, some of the kits are engineered so that they can accommodate these little lighting units that Bandai makes. And with 2 watch batteries, you get a lighting unit. And that light will show through some of the clear parts in the kit, depending where the lighting unit is housed, either in the chest or to light up the head. And Bandai does make some pretty creative use of clear parts during construction for the head, where the clear part that forms the background of the face will actually have a stalk reaching down so that the light from the LED can actually, prismatically travel up that stalk and light it up, which is pretty interesting. This kit in particular, the lighting unit there's accommodation for one in the chest and one in the back. I'm not going to bother with the one in the back. I'm going to do one in the front. I happen to have a spare. When you have kits that can accommodate these things, they will usually recommend what color to use, because they do come in different colors. I have a spare yellow here because why wouldn't I? So I happen to have this spare yellow LED unit, so I'm gonna put this guy together. Well, I did put him together. They are powered. These variety are powered with 2 LR41 watch batteries. So it will not give you a super bright illumination, but you will get a glow from within the portion that needs to be lit. So it's a little something extra you can do with these kits. The LED units, the prices really vary with these. And the packaging as well. This particular one came in an actual dedicated box, and it's a whole lot of box for one little lighting unit. I happened to get this one off of Amazon, and I think it was $8, something like that. So it is a little extra expense. It is a little extra frill for your kit. And sometimes, depending on the packaging, sometimes they just come in little blister packs, and you can get 2 or 3 for like $10. What the rhyme or reason to the pricing is, I have no clue. So there it is. Now, some hobby stores, there is one local hobby store by me. Occasionally, they will have them in the store. So when I see them, I grab 1 or 2. And have them on the side. So if I'm doing one of these Gundam builds and I get the itch to light it up, I have a unit ready to go. And I never get too concerned about the actual color of the bulb. What I use is what I use, and that's that. As usual, and probably goes without saying, for the die-hard detail enthusiasts, you'll want to get the specific color that they recommend. So that said, I'm going to put this unit together, going to do the torso, and once the torso is done, it's detailing time, and then final assembly. So, shaping up good, everything fits great, and now, back to it. Alrighty. with the Bandai Gundam Dynames Celestial Being Mobile Suit GN002, or the Sniper Gundam, which is why I like to think of it, because it's a whole lot easier to say. So, yeah, here it is. It's all done. And in a second, as it comes around behind the instructions, gonna pull this away so you can get a look at it. But just say right off the bat, very happy with the way the kit came out. Yeah, big surprise there. Right. You know, it like I've said before with these Bandai kits, you know, they really go together great. And here's our guy. They really go together great. The fit of the parts, the engineering of the entire kit, it really is, you know, something impressive, something to certainly appreciate and enjoy during the build. And of course, with this, there is all that motion and articulation and functionality that goes with the kit. What I'm going to do is talk a little bit, and then I'm going to stop because I am not good enough repositioning on camera. So I'll just make a few quick stops to put him in his, you know, different poses to show off some of his stuff. So I will use one of his beam swords here to point things out. So first thing to talk about are the decals. Now, I had mentioned, I believe I mentioned before, that you know, I went ahead and used some of these, and used a few more than I thought I would use, mostly because I put one or two on and I wanted to see how they looked on the, because most of them are on the green plastic, how they looked against the green, if a lot of the background film of the decal would be visible. A good portion of it is, but the decals, you know, they to me, they looked good enough to work with the kit, where I felt they were adding more than they were subtracting. So I used quite a few of them, but not nearly all of them. Here's the actual sheet. So all these little warnings and whatnot, this trim around his elbow. This I did not use because I have the LED light in there. This would have given a reflective backing to the front clear part. But yeah, so it's all together. And you know, the only as I was discussing, the only thing I would really cite as a very tiny negative on this kit would be those decals. And I did find it, and I continue to find it a little surprising that they did it only with the self-adhesive. You know, as I put these on, I thought, man, you know, with dry rub or even water slide, that white, you know, would come up really, that would be a bright white. You'd have a really great contrast, the white against the green. That would have looked really amazing. It would have looked super sharp, but that option is not there. Now, for the airbrush crowd out there, the airbrush devotees, sure, you could use tape and mask off these, you know, guidelines here that the white is, and airbrush that and spray it in and get your super white finish. You know, that again is an individual approach to the kit. As I have said numerous times with these Gundam kits, for me, this is a break from all the painting and painting and painting. I like these because I can build them and just do a little bit of detail painting here and there and be done with it. You know, I'm not done with it like I'm done with it, but you know, but finish a kit and still be very happy with the outcome. Now, on the surface, looking at it, the only detail painting that I did really, and it's not even detail painting, I added these two little red slashes. They were indentations molded into the shield. I just painted them red. I thought that was a little contrast and complemented the color separation of the red parts in the kit. But otherwise, I painted the pilot figure, which of course I'm talking about it while it's pointing away. Good job. But other than that, really the only thing was painting up the nub box. Now, I happen to have this Tamiya X5 green, which was quite a good match for the green plastic. I like the green. I like the way it looks. So here, red, red, red contrast. Just to point that out. I really like the way the green looks, but unfortunately there were some pretty big nub marks from separating from the trees, and they were in some pretty obvious places. Had to be repainted, or had to be touched up with the green, otherwise they really would have looked terrible. And with the Bandai kits, they're usually very good with their nub mark or sprue attachment strategy, so that the nub marks will either be covered up by other pieces or be on the inside of a piece, so that you really won't have to worry about not so much on the white, obviously, but on the colored parts, having the color change of the nub mark, which usually means a white blemish on the plastic. Now, some of that I worked out with my hobby knife, but I did go back and put in the green to cover it up, and you can see like a little dab there, depending how the light catches it. So that was it. Now, you may wonder about the little lineup of figures down here. These were pilots from a couple of other kits that I've built. This is the pilot that came with this kit. These were two other master grade kits. This was from a perfect grade kit. That's why he's a little bit bigger, because that pilot is in scale to the perfect grade kit. The smaller pilots from master grade kits, they are actually out of scale with the rest of the kit. Bandai used to make them in scale with the master grade kit, but they were about only 70% of the size of the standing figure. They do give you a pilot figure in the cockpit. It can open up to show him sitting in there, the pilot, but it's really hard to capture on camera because it's a tiny little space behind that red piece. And again, the figure is only about 70% of that size. So, the Sniper Gundam, or that whole mouthful, which I'm not going to bother repeating. If you're into Gundam kits, pick one up, because this was a cool build. It has a great look when it's done, and it's pretty hefty. The finished kit, I have to say, it has a good weight, gives it a good stance. It doesn't jiggle around. You can see as it's going around, there's not like pieces flopping on it. These shield assemblies actually go on. They found a really good balance of being able to clip them on and off versus being able to easily move them and articulate them. And you'll see that in a little bit, or a lesser bit, when I stop blabbing and start putting him through his poses. So I just want to run down, before I do that, some of the functionality, which won't be readily apparent, but these drives open up like a clamshell. So the little drive nacelle will then poke out. These are the hilts for his beam saber. Those swing out and detach. These are the rocket launcher pods on his waist armor. These doors all open up. The armor on his knee, the top portion, slides out and flips open to show the missiles on his knees. And these side holsters, as it comes around, the side holsters flip up, and then the handgun slides out. So some of this I'm just going to have to take JPEGs to show it all off. The lighting unit is held in by these little arms. They all flip open. The light unit slides out, and then you can take out the LED, change the batteries, whatever. It's just a simple drop-in fit. I do have the LED lit right now. It's probably hard to see under the very bright lights that I need to do the proper video recording. So, but it is there, and it does look quite cool. All right, so I will now stop talking, and I will be right back, and we'll see his first, dramatic pose. Okay, so I'll let him come around, and just as a hint, we might be seeing these in his hands. Oh, they do give you two. So 2 swords, 2 hands. There we go. Alrighty. So gonna take a pause now. Alright, so now we see some of his stuff opened up. So we got the knee missiles open. We've got the hip skirt armor opened up. We have the drive nacelles, whatever they're actually called. You know, they're opened and extended. The side pistol mounts opened up. And we have the beam saber hilts flipped out. So that's the start of some of the incredible things this guy can do. So I'm going to let him come around and then pause it again, and we'll come back to another neat pose. Alrighty. So here we see with some of his backup weapons, his armaments. He's got the sidearm in one hand, and of course he's got his nifty little beam saber out, which pretty lengthy weapon. You know, maybe not the best to use with the shields folded up like that, but you know, these Gundams with those swords, they always look pretty neat, especially since they're molded with that translucent plastic there. So, and it is, you know, like I said in the beginning, it does have some give to it. So, you know, it's not like it's dangerous or anything, as long as you use some common sense. But yeah, and what's nice is typically these beam sabers, because of the length of the saber, they don't always stay well in the Gundam's hand. But with this kit, the hands are slotted and the hilts are slotted, so are the weapons, so the various armaments, so that when you put it in the hand, it actually clips in. So, you know, this isn't going anywhere. So neither is the little sidearm either. So, which is nice, because sometimes when you have to, you know, manipulate these things to get a pose that you want, you know, I mean, I have some that are a little finicky, and you know, you pose, and you know, this piece is now bent a different way, and blah blah blah. So this one, you know, went well getting into that pose. And you know, some of these things in the instructions with these kits, they always show you stepwise how to manipulate the kit and its various mechanisms, you know, to get to the particular pose, or the hallmark pose for a particular Gundam. So, speaking of which, and this is the Sniper Gundam, that will be coming up next. All right. All right. So now we see him with his main piece there, ready to do a little aerial practice, so to speak. You know, it's got 2 attachment points, hand, forearm, so it's on there nice and solid. You can see all this incredible articulation in the leg to get it to fold back like that. And even though this doesn't use polycaps in the joints, it uses the engineering plastic in friction fits. It makes it a little bit tighter to move the joints, but they really hold the position well. So, and as you can see here, you know, he's pretty stable just like that. So that's another cool pose we get to do with this guy. And to give you an idea, I before I started doing the final video here, I forgot to cut out all his separate hands. So while I've been pausing each time, I've had to cut the hands out, you know, clean them up from the nub marks and whatever. So a little bit of poor planning on my part, but nevertheless, there he is. So when he comes around, I'm going to pause one more time and come back to the final signature pose for this guy. Okay, and then maybe a few final comments and wrap it up. Okay, gotta readjust the camera a little bit because unfortunately in the main pose here he doesn't fit on my little turntable. So, but there he is. And again, you can probably appreciate from this how much bending and articulation, how many angles of movement you need to get him into this position. So, you know, that's pretty impressive stuff. Maybe not as impressive as piece falls off, but there we go. The GN Gundam Dynames, or just the Sniper Gundam as I like to call him. So there we go. That's the conclusion of the build. So as usual, I will say thank you for watching, of course, and you know, if you found the video helpful, of interest, I think other people might be able to learn something from it. You know, certainly like, share, subscribe, you know, as I always say, all that YouTube stuff. You know, I did get to do something a little bit different, which is to actually show the show me building this thing, you know, with the time lapse. You know, you can let me know down in the comments whether you actually like that or not. With this kit, I found I was able to do that because it's a press fit and there's not all the painting involved, and I was able to work the parts without, you know, just bumping into the camera all the time. So, but that's it. So there's our guy, and just to show you that it's not such a drama to reconfigure a pose. So we'll do maybe a little bit of a standing pose. So that may be really awkward in terms of using his machine there, but just like that, you know, you can reconfigure and have a new pose for your Gundam. All right, so that's it, and I'll have a few pictures to close this off, and until next time. So it's still brutally cold out for painting, in terms of painting, so next build will be another interior build. And just to give you a little hint, gonna go back in time on the next one. Very anxious to do the next build. So until the next episode. All right, thank you and goodbye.